Okay, so Monster Island. This is the new film from Mike Wiluan, who wrote and directed the joint, right? It is produced by Eric Kahu, James Kahu, Funi Suzuki Lancaster, Minnie Musa, Fong Chong Tang. Who else do we have here? Daryl Yee, right? Freddie Yee. Who else do we have? It is executive produced by Yoshi, Grace Wu, Natalie Pavshanskaya, Anthony Koo, and Anthony also produces, Matthew Jones, and Simon Crow. It is associate produced by Victoria Strand, co-produced by Takahiro Yamashita, Yutaka Tashabana, with line production from Panji Dhamika. So it has a music from Akiko Matsumoto. ASAP Kalia was on cinematography. Lim Yen edits the piece. Art direction is Chupi Kasuku. Costume design is Bingtang Bekti. We have got hair makeup, special makeup from Emaka Puspita Dwai, Nanda Maharani, and Fadi Rivazia. Oh man, I have butchered these names so badly. So yeah, apologies, right? Creature design is Alan B. Holt, with Fajrul Fadila on visual effects. Right, stunts were handled by Craig Miller and Uday Nans. Right, so our cast. Saito is played by Dean Fuguka. Bronson, played by Callum Woodhouse. We've got our Orang Ikan, right, played by Alan Mazon. Also in the film is Alexandra Gotardo and Lucky Moniga, right, but their roles aren't here. So what is this all about, right? Well, May 1942, World War II rages across a world divided. Sailing across the sea, a Japanese hell ship transports prisoners of war to occupied territories for slave labor. On board the ship is Saito, a traitor to the Japanese who is being sent back to the motherland to be sentenced to death. As further punishment, Saito is shackled to another POV, a British soldier named Bronson, who holds nothing but hatred for Saito because of his Japanese nationality. When the hell ship is torpedoed by Allied submarines, Saito and Bronson are thrown overboard and wash ashore a deserted island. But they are not alone. Bronson and Saito are hunted by a monstrous creature, the Orang Ikan, who will stop at nothing until both men are dead. Bronson and Saito must put aside their hatred for one another to survive the island and kill the creature before it kills them first. Woo! Man, so yeah, that's the film, right? I was in an ahhing about this film because I was worried it would be subtitled. Now I looked at the trailer and I thought, oh, it's not. I mean, it was. It did end up having some subtitles, but not too many. Not too many. So this was manageable, right? Now, there's a story. We start off with a little bit of info about these hell ships, right? We get the date. It's the war, right? We lay all of this out. And then we're told, right, that these ships would transport, all of these prisoners of war, and a lot of them got bombed because, it's how do we know this isn't a ship bringing supplies and munitions, right? So it laid all of this out for us. Text could have been bigger, but then we see, right? We see Saito. He's in bad shape, right? He's brought, and then we have him shackled to Bronson, and then everything goes to hell, right? So we understand, right? These two ain't gonna be friends, But then what do? You're on this island, and it's obvious that you're not the only ones here, right? And I think all of this, even though, right, in the film Saito does not speak English, I think we get, right, through body language, facial expressions, cadence, I think everything is understandable, right? The situation, the sentiment, the emotions, all of this, we get it. Right, which is great, I think there's a lot to that, being able to give that kind of performance when English ain't on the table, So we have all of this, and at heart we have this monster, right? In the press stuff sent, it says that this is the creature from the Black Lagoon is an influence of the film, and we see that, right? This creature is kind of, Black Lagoon, Predator, there's all of these kind of influences there. And it is creepy. It's definitely creepy. I think it really works when you're just hearing stuff. You know what I mean? And you're not quite sure. I do think that the reveal could have been played out a little longer, right? Because there's bits when we're just seeing shadow. And I think, right, you can utilize the shadow to make someone think something else, right? It's not a creature necessarily, right? It could have just been a big man. Right? Could have been an ape. Because not everyone had seen huge apes, and especially apes on two legs. So I think there are monsters that are animals, but because people haven't seen them before, right, or seen them in this certain state, that you assume that must be something else, right? So I did think that could have been played with a little bit more, right? But essentially what we have is this survival story, right? This story of two men who should be mortal enemies, technically, right? Just because of everything, the circumstance, right? So they should be enemies, but they have to work together. So we have that, right? Building, we see that trust being built, right? Those relationships, and it's always a shaky thing. Always a shaky thing. So we have this, but then how are you going to survive? Right? We're on an island. We don't know what's there, what other predators are here. There is a moment. Oh, boy. I mean, there is this, and there's a few moments, right? There's this one on a, I mean, it's not so much a beach, but let's just say the side of a river, and or a lake, pond, whatever. Yeah, that moment is just like, but I wouldn't have wanted to be there. Let's just say that, right? But yeah, there's a lot going on, and you know, are there other survivors from the ship, right? How could you potentially get off this island? There's a lot to unpack. It's a lot to unpack, and I think the story is told well. Right, is told well, and I think they do use the landscape well, right, in being able to hide things, and you know, you're not quite sure, you know, how is the ground, right? Like, are we hills? Are we, what kind of cover do we have? What are the routes out? Right, so there's all of this stuff here, and as it goes on, more is being revealed to us, right? So this is kind of based on Malay folklore, right? I think Malay. I feel that's how you say it. Malay, right? The kind of tale of mer people, right? Because I think a lot of people, when they think of a mermaid, a merman, you think Little Mermaid, right? You think this lovely human creature, but then you also should remember mer people are there's a creature like a dolphin, which is they figured that's where that might come from, that whole thing might come from. I forget the name of the creature now. That's so irritating. I want to say porpoise, but I know that ain't right. But yeah, there are other legends, because you know, the Hans Christian Andersen stories, the Brother Grimm stories, they weren't nice. You know what I mean? They weren't happy and friendly and lovely stories. They were dark and twisted. So these old folklores and legends, mer people, ain't Disney, right? Ain't lovely. You know, they're monsters and all of this. So, yeah, this story kind of taps into that. And, yeah, we get a not so lovely creature. Not so lovely. A creature no one's really going to be looking to marry, right? No one's looking to wife up, husband up this creature. Because I don't know what it is, right? But yeah, so we get that, and I mean, there's a part in this film, and Saito says something, and you're just like, yeah, homie is right. You should listen to Saito right now, because things could get hairy, and especially like there's moving stuff, and you're just like, I wouldn't want to move that, right? I wouldn't want to move that. You know what I mean? It's, I think we get, you could say interesting choices towards the end, but I think it does make sense when you consider everything that our characters have been through. You know, there's a weariness attached to, you know, everything. So I think there's things and you go, yeah, I mean, that does make sense. But man, you do think, I'm watching this and thinking, yo, what am I gonna do in this situation? You know what I mean? Like, how would I handle this kind of shit? You know? And yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. It's not about, if you like a creature feature, you know what I mean? If you like those kind of stories, if you're a fan of stuff like The Thing, you know, Creature of the Black Lagoon, just all the Island of Dr. Moreau, just all of these kind of stories, then I think Monster Island will work for you. I think especially if you're, I think like kind of Godzilla, right? Was it Godzilla minus something, -1, -0, you know? Those kind of tales, right? I think it kind of really does speak to those things. So yeah, if that's your kind of jam, if you enjoy those stories, then I definitely think Monster Island will be your cup of tea. And if you own a Shudder subscription, and it's kind of like, if you're a horror fan, can you call yourself a horror fan without a Shudder subscription? You know what I mean? So yeah, this will be dropping on Shudder on the 25th of July, Friday, right? So yeah, go have fun, right? Go have fun. Get your little monster flick. And as I said, there are subtitles. There's not too many. Did have to pause at times, rewind, but yeah, it was manageable. It's not a crazy long film either. I think it's like 82 minutes, something like that, right? So yeah, Monster Island, aka I don't even know how you pronounce this, Orang Ikan, right? Which I believe it means fish person, right? So yeah, that is going to be available, as I said, from the 25th. So people, enjoy.